another full house here at the Dean Dome, as tonight's game is brought to you in brilliant high-definition courtesy Raycon Sports. Tim Brando, Billy Packer, happy to have you with us. As you look at Ty Lawson, unable to go, but this may be, Billy, one of those moments where a team can grow for an entire season, though they may be crippled for one single game.
Well, absolutely. Lawson in his last 2 complete games had 20 assists and 1 turnover. He's number 3 in the ACC in assist-turnover ratios. So a big job for Quentin Thomas today. I thought he did a miraculous job playing 36 minutes just the other day. We'll see what he does against this Duke pressure.
Well, that was the best I'd ever seen Thomas play. He did play well in both Duke games 2 years ago. Of course, last season did not get as much playing time as he did in his sophomore year. The opening tap controlled to Duke. Paulus launches and nails the first three-pointer.
Matchups will be so important in this ball game. Who guards who in a situation, particularly inside where Hansbrough is on Singler. And if you're Carolina, you want touches to your big guy early in this game down low.
The speed of the game may not be the same with Lawson out, but Roy Williams' hope is that they can play the same kind of game with him not on the floor. And you see Thompson with a jump hook baseline. It's 3-2 Duke.
Probably as nice a low post moves for a power forward as anybody in the league.
Henderson pulls up. Hansbrough clears for North Carolina. Thomas pushes. Leaves it for Hansbrough with a face-up game.
You know, there are new things that you see in games, but that's something Hansbrough's been working on. And I watch him in practice, and he has a beautiful release from almost three-point range. So it didn't surprise me. The only thing surprised me that he's using it in games.
Billy, I've got to tell you, I believe after the Clemson game, he knew he would have to work on that aspect, and he's improved. You see the deflection by Thompson. And Genyard comes out of there with it.
Got a lot of power over Paulus.
Rejected by Henderson.
Nice job by Genyard to move this ball up the floor. Great to see a team that is handicapped in regard to a key starter, not changing their game plan at all. Battling for the ball inside.
North Carolina toughed it out going into overtime against Florida State and getting that win on Sunday. But conventional wisdom is Duke is playing better at this stage of the year. Hansbrough on the glass.
There he likes to be. Good aggressive play by North Carolina, taking it right where it belongs, in the paint for this game. And if you're Duke, you want to get mismatches on the perimeter.
Spread and execute. And that drive to the basket by Nelson is absolutely picture perfect.
And not a mismatch there, because he's being guarded by Genyard, who's probably one of the key defensive players in the conference.
Hansbrough again.
Nice follow through, but air ball.
Out of bounds, last touched by Henderson. Let's take a look at our Food Lion on the floor lineups. Paulus, Nelson, Henderson, Singler, Thomas. Quentin Thomas getting the call with Ellington, Dion Thompson, Marcus Genyard, the designated clothesline defender, and Hansbrough. As you look at Ty Lawson looking on, I talked with Roy Williams before the game. You may recall he didn't go in the game at Ohio State. He had gotten banged up on the road at BYU, and Roy's thought was he's going to let the kid see if he can go. And he asked him, he says, "What do you think?" And he says, I'm not sure, Coach. And he says, "Well, if you're not sure, that means you're no-go."
Yeah, I watched him shoot around a little bit. There was not a lot of movement there and no elevation on the jump shot whatsoever. If anything, a good move from the long range. You got to have him healthy going down the stretch.
Wayne Ellington, the explosive sophomore we mentioned at the top of the show. He has taken over some games this year, notably the road win at Clemson.
The best pure shooter in terms of form that this league has seen in a long, long time.
Singler, nice look to Thomas. And that was a tough bounce pass to make in traffic.
It really was. He had no angle for that pass and still got it through there. So far, Thomas has handled the ball pretty well. For a guy his size, he's got big size for a guard. He keeps the ball low to the floor on the dribble.
Ellington again.
Well guarded that time by Scheyer.
Nelson clears it. Going into traffic with Thomas, was able to recover.
And there's that upper body strength of DeMarcus Nelson that keeps him out of trouble so often.
Singler pops out.
Singler looking for his jump shot against Hansbrough. I think he'd be better off pump faking and try to drive him from that distance.
Billy, let's take a look at your 4 keys to the game.
Well, if you're Duke, you want to do what you've been doing all year so well, spread and execute. They are #1 in the conference in field goal shooting percentage because they get a lot of mismatches. And for North Carolina, a quality cue. We're talking about Quentin Thomas. He has got to have a quality game here, and he has played that way. He's also had some games in his career, 9 minutes, 7 turnovers, and no assists against Virginia Tech a couple of years ago, so he's got a lot of work to do.
Hansbrough drives baseline. Well, Mike Krzyzewski not happy about giving up the block. North Carolina by 3.
Look at Hansbrough out there on the perimeter, guarding defensively nicely.
That's a turnover. Do you think he's a little excited?
You know, one of the things that we're going to see in this game out of Hansbrough is that he is a lot better player than people realize. He can play out there that far from the basket, both offensively and defensively. Tonight he'll be tested defensively, moving his feet. We all know what he can do in the paint. I think because of Lawson being out, we're going to see what he can do on the perimeter, and I think it'll surprise all of us.
Blue Devils have turned it over a couple of times. North Carolina did turn it over 21 times in Tallahassee.
Double down, bad pass by Hansbrough.
Just as I mentioned it, Scheyer gets into a passing lane and gets the first step for Duke. Nelson, Hansbrough another rebound.
Well, he came 15 feet to chase that ball down as a rebounder.
Ellington with the dump down to Thompson. And it's slapped away by McClure, who just got into the game. Scheyer to Nelson. Oh, rejected by Green. Thomas out to Hansbrough.
Taking those jump shots.
8 points in the game. Mike Krzyzewski told me before the game he expected Lawson to play, but either way, Superman would be wearing number 50 for North Carolina. He expected the maximum from Tyler Hansbrough. Singler on the wing.
No fault of Hansbrough, had to play off, but if you're playing against Duke, you've got to understand who's driving with the ball and who's standing on the perimeter. You have to read the offensive structure, and that time you don't want to leave Singler wide open.
Nolan Smith disrupted that one. Timeout, Carolina by 2. We are underway with a frenetic pace. North Carolina leading by 2 over Duke. Tim Brando, Billy Backer, happy to have you with us. One thing about this Blue Devils team, they really don't have a low post presence, a guy that plays with his back to the basket. So obviously Roy Williams wants to take advantage and get Hansbrough the ball early and often.
Well, they want to get him the ball down low, but what he's shown tonight, because of the way that Duke plays defensively, he's stepping out and letting Thompson in the low post to get some baskets. But one of the things he's going to have to do on the defensive end of the floor, he's going to be playing tonight a lot more away from the basket. We saw him try to help out on that last play, and he got himself with Singler on the outside, getting an open jump shot. He's got to be careful of that. He's out of the ball game right now.
Well, much deserved rest. Stevenson comes in for him, and Thomas unable to hit that shot. That one will be there for him most of the night. Danny Green, whose game can be both hot and cold offensively. Stevenson working much like Hansbrough on the offensive glass, and he draws the foul.
Well, Stevenson, a terrific rebounder, as everybody knows, had to take some time off to go out and visit with his father in California. The young man in there with Thompson right now reminds me of the game last year against Arizona when those two as freshmen matched up actually to put Lute Olson's team in real bad trouble. That game led by North Carolina by Lawson, who had a sensational game as well. He will not be in this one, but these two big guys are really improved.
You saw the earlier scores in the ACC, Maryland and Georgia Tech, both winners. And Stevenson at the free throw line. Nelson picked up the foul, his first for Duke.
This North Carolina team has been unbelievable from the free throw. That ball was on the rim, should have been called. Green touched it in the cylinder. Carolina as a team shooting 76% from the foul line, and they get there often.
Nelson negotiates past Green, rejected by Stevenson. He lost it though, trying to tap it into Ginyard's hands. Nolan Smith pulls the trigger, and he has a 3-ball.
Well, let's put something in perspective here. These two teams between them, Carolina with 5 and Duke with 8, have 13 McDonald's All-Americans. So you wonder why guys come off the bench and can immediately be productive. They're pretty good, talented players.
You see the 3-ball story. And early on, Thompson a factor. They do have the size advantage once they get the ball in low against Duke. Smith can't connect. Stevenson the rebound.
Maybe a shot taken a little bit too quick. You want to force the North Carolina defense to move.
McClure had Stevenson hooked down low. He picks up the foul, and Tyler re-enters the game. Let's take a look at what he's been able to produce so far, Billy.
Well, there he is stepping out. That's the third jump shot that he took so far in this game. And there he is doing what he does so well, is battling for each and every rebound. They're moving his feet extremely well, not picking up a foul, but drawing the charge. Great hands.
Stevenson again. Outstanding work. Thompson, rather than Stevenson, he just checked out as Hansbrough re-entered the game. Dion Thompson, boy, if you get a lot of points out of him, then North Carolina becomes really unstoppable down low.
Well, he has great hands, and as I said, with back to the basket, as good a low post moves as anybody in the league.
Will Graves, redshirt freshman from Greensboro, picked up that foul. Our Chevrolet Stars of the Week in the conference, Player of the Week, Tyler Hansbrough, 20 points, 13.5 boards in his 2 games. And Jeff Teague, the outstanding star and outstanding freshman from Wake Forest, Dino Gaudio's team, has really maximized this season. Nolan Smith turns it over.
You know, one thing we ought to point out, Tim, in regard to Lawson, his presence not being here tonight. He got hurt against BYU, played very limited time. That was a terrific win when you take in consideration BYU's team. Then did not play against Ohio State, a solid Big Ten team. North Carolina successful in that one. So they have played without him before. And I think that always helps a top team. Not when it goes into the NCAA tournament, but during regular season, if you're shorthanded and guys have to learn how to pick it up.
Sometimes it's difficult for fans to see the big picture when it's a rivalry like Duke and North Carolina. But I think Roy Williams definitely understands what's at stake in the big picture. These 2 teams, of course, will play again, and sometimes a third time. Another great look. Green inside to Thompson. Danny Green with a wonderful dish.
Green, very solid player on both ends of the floor. And Thompson used that rim to shield off all the defenders.
And a reach-in foul will go against Graves. Far from the basket against Scheyer. 2 quickies against him.
You know, Tim, one of the things, go right ahead and I'll get to it in a second.
Won a $100,000 salary in college basketball's dream job. Then play the My Circle Pick and Roll Challenge. You could be the first chief basketball officer of fans. As CBO, you'll take a private jet to your favorite conference tournaments. Apply now at fanu.com/alltel.
Nice double.
A little too much body that time from Thompson against Paulus.
Yeah, he's got to understand Paulus is not that quick and not explosive, but he does have strength and power. So you got to get down much lower or he'll put his body into your waistline and just beat you. Thompson just didn't move his feet.
Thomas, nice look from Scheyer.
Probably a little bit too easy there.
Thomas got caught in midair.
Yeah, not a good, wise play. Didn't need to make that at all.
3 turnovers for the Tar Heels. Scheyer pumps. Thomas looking to run it down, was the last to touch it. North Carolina gets it back.
Well, Duke does a tremendous job forcing turnovers, but what they do probably better than anybody in the league, they first force turnovers in the backcourt area. So it immediately goes from defense to offense for easy scores.
Look at the difference on the glass, Billy. So far, that's the one element of this game that's been a blowout. North Carolina commanding the glass.
Good backdoor cut.
On one leg. Thompson trying to get the offensive rebound, has it taken away by Henderson. Scheyer. He's the guy with the rotation for Duke, and the most likely to pump from downtown for the Blue Devils.
Roy Williams going to hold on his ball for a while just to slow down the pace a little bit. Pretty nice little delay on his part.
11:33 remaining here in the opening half. We're tied. The Dean Smith Center opened its doors in grand style January 16th, 1986. Number 3, Duke took on number 1 North Carolina. The heel Steve Hale was the man of the hour. He had 28 and 5 assists. Carolina celebrated a 95-92 win over Duke. Even the announcers, Marty Brenneman and Billy C., the Kangaroo Kid, got into the act wearing tuxedos. By the way, Johnny Dawkins had 20 points in the 2 games. Now on the sidelines with Coach K.
And then remember, the thing was completely reversed with Duke #1. They played in Durham. Duke won that ball game, went on to win the ACC championship, and then to the Final Four to lose to Louisville.
Foul spotted prior to the shot. Will go against Greg Paulus of the Blue Devils. Well, Marty Brenneman had gray hair early, didn't he?
Well, it was a real tribute that Billy Cunningham, one of the greatest players in Carolina history, would be there to do the ball game.
Yeah, it was. I've gotten to see Billy a few times. Still makes his home in the Miami area and follows the Tar Heels very closely. Hansbrough
doesn't miss many of those.
Rebound cleared by Singler for the Blue Devils. Scheyer on the floor now with Thomas, Singler, Paulus.
Again, check the matchups. Singler, Hansbrough. They'd like to get Singler open on the perimeter.
Henderson also out on the deck. He's got it now, being checked by Ellington. Off the pick from Thomas.
2 high school teammates going head-to-head in that one. Kind of interesting. They should know each other fairly well.
Shot clock down to 6. Paulus leaves it for Scheyer on the wing. Textbook.
Now, it is textbook, but Tim, I fault Carolina on that one. Paulus is going to dish to the outside when he drives. He is not taking it to the basket, so you have to read the offensive player on that play, knowing a Paulus will be a kick-out, not a finisher, whereas a DeMarcus Nelson will be a finisher, not a kick-out man. That'll let a wide-open shot.
Ellington picked up the foul. Take a look at some of the other scores from across the country.
You know, looking at these 2 teams, Tim, one of the things for Duke, without question, they're much deeper than they were last year, so they can play at this pace with a bench that's very solid. North Carolina also with a solid bench.
Paulus off the bounce. Rattles it home.
I'm surprised he made that shot. He was gliding to his left. Normally he has to be squared up.
Blue Devils now on an 11-0 run. Thomas. Can Q lead to a W in the backcourt tonight? One of your keys.
Well, Thomas goes right over the top of Paulus on that play. He's much taller.
You see the story now, the 11-2 run. Singler wide open with that shot.
And here you go again. You have got to read, if you're the defense, who's the driver. You can't all of a sudden collapse 2-on-1 of the driver. Make him finish the play.
See the 3-point story. Duke 7 of 10 now. Thomas on the wing. Sometimes those quick shots lead to easy buckets on the other end.
Well, he's playing with a lot of confidence, that's for sure. Another kick out. There's a matchup that favors Nelson. He's a lot quicker than Hansbrough.
On the blow-by, offensive foul. Hansbrough induced it. Second foul on DeMarcus Nelson.
And the second time in this ball game, Hansbrough's been caught on the perimeter defensively. Did a tremendous job moving his feet against a quicker man and draws his second charge of the game.
He's really underrated in that area.
Oh, no question. Well, we never see him because we always see him down in the paint. And tonight, because of the way Duke plays, he's forced to go outside and shows he can do a lot of things.
All right, Nelson has to sit down. Last week against Maryland, Duke had Paulus in foul difficulty. Nelson, there's a 5th turnover now committed by the Heels, and yet they were able to come from 9 down to win in the second half. Singler not there. Ellington fouled by Henderson, who was going over the back.
Now, what Roy Williams is doing is screaming at Thomas right now. Thomas does not have to be a great player. What he's got to do is not be a poor player. And most of what he's made mistakes tonight has been on poor judgment. When I go back to '84, probably Dean Smith's greatest team ever. And Kenny Smith got hurt going down the wire.
Yeah.
And North Carolina was never the same. Remember the big upset by Indiana in the NCAA tournament, Michael Jordan's last game. But it reminds me, losing a player like Lawson was like losing Kenny Smith, the great guard that Carolina had in those days.
Yeah, that was Bob Knight's team with Randy Whitman and company that pulled it off. And the Elite Eight managed to get to the Final Four, if you recall. Ginyard taking it right in. That was a North Carolina team that everyone thought would win the national championship. Well, Food Lion and Pepsi have teamed up again this year for the Sink One Score a Million sweepstakes. 3 lucky contestants will win a trip to the ACC tournament in Charlotte with a chance to take a half-court shot for $1 million. Visit foodlion.com for more details. Food Lion and Pepsi are proud official corporate partners of the ACC.
And you see 27-20 situation with Duke in the lead. Hansbrough's getting a pretty long rest here.
Yes, he is.
Not in foul trouble. And he's looking at Roy Williams. Coach, I am ready to go in this ball game.
We should mention that he had nothing in the Florida State game, played less than 4 minutes. Think about it, Billy. You see Green coming into the game now for Ellington. Not only did they have Lawson out of the game for 36 minutes, Hansbrough didn't get a field goal until 10 minutes were left in the second half, and they still managed to win. Blue Devils by 5.
Good decision not to take that shot by Scheyer. That was a palm, not called.
Rejected by Stevenson.
Second time he's come from the weak side for a block in this game.
Forces Henderson into a fadeaway. Thompson corrals it for North Carolina.
No question, North Carolina controls the boards.
Ellington, too strong. Henderson loses it to Thompson. Just too strong down there, and he collects the foul from Lance Thomas. Timeout. It has been fast and furious here in Chapel Hill. Tonight's game is presented in high definition. We're available by Raycom Sports. Tim Brando, Billy Packer. Blue Devils have a 5-point lead, and Billy, they've really done it with the perimeter shooting. 3 balls abound.
Not surprising at all. They're getting good penetration and kickouts. Seeing some wide open looks. Obviously, North Carolina doing a terrific job rebounding, but there again, you've got to understand and read. It's, you know, so many times, Tim, guys talk about when you're an offensive player, you have to be able to read the defense. Now, the way that Duke plays, you have to be able to read the offense. Who has the ball? Who can take it to the hoop? Who wants to penetrate and kick out? And as a defensive player, that's a quick decision you have to make. There's a guy that had a pretty fair game.
Yes, he did.
Against Duke.
Trying to get healthy.
26, 24.
Yeah, he had great numbers.
Yeah, that was the kickoff. He had great numbers his entire career against Duke, but that was the kickoff to leading that 05 team to the national championship.
Raymond Felton, we saw a moment before that. George Lynch was on my plane earlier today getting in.
Another guy that was part of a national championship with Eric Montross, who's sitting across from us back in '93.
He drew blood before Hansbrough did. Scheyer leaves it for Paulus. And there's a reach-in foul against Thomas.
And not necessary by Thomas. Again, read who you're guarding. Paulus is not going to beat you with quickness off the dribble, so just move your feet and keep your hands to yourself.
Henderson will trigger it in. North Carolina now has both Thompson, Green, Thomas, Ellington, and Hansbrough, the 5 on the floor.
Thomas lucky there. He went behind the screen, giving Paulus a wide open look.
Ellington.
Good timing by Hansbrough, not quite there. Nice job, Singler with the rebound, and as we know, he's a versatile player. Brings it up on his own.
Scheyer, a runner, not there.
Pushed by Green.
And got caught. When we talk about the history and tradition, Billy, of college basketball in the ACC, look at these numbers. It's absolutely incredible. You know, sustained excellence for both programs for so many years.
Well, how about this? Since 1955, these teams have played against each other every year on multiple occasions. In that period of time, one or the other has been ranked. Can you imagine that since 1955? You talk about a level of excellence with incredible coaches, great players, and programs that just keep sustaining themselves. Oh, there's a push off by Henderson, gets away with it.
Right over Green.
Yep, that was an offensive foul, not called.
29-23, Duke by 6. First bucket for Henderson. There's a steal by Scheyer.
That's his 3rd turnover, trying to do too much is Thomas. Dean Smith looking at that, looking down at Roy Williams probably and saying, you know, it might be time to give him a rest.
Ellington a runner, that's an offensive foul. Great defensive work from the weak side by Lance Thomas.
Here we see again, Thomas trying to do too much. Just pull the ball out, be safe. That pass cross court, and how many times have we talked about Duke not only makes you turn the ball over, but they turn it immediately into their offense for 100% shots, as we saw right there. And there's Lawson looking up at the ball game. Situation where Roy Williams over there talking and saying, you know, you don't have to do it all at once. Just play a solid basketball game.
Don't forget on Saturday, North Carolina State, Maryland. Wolfpack very quietly now have gotten to 4-4 in the league. Taking on a Maryland team that's been playing some of their best basketball. And there's a foul inside as Thomas got hooked up with Marcus Ginyard.
And I believe that foul is actually going to be called on Thompson. Dion Thompson, that's number 2 on Dion.
He got away from Ginyard, and then Thompson came over for the block. Fans thought he had all leather.
Well, he did have all leather, but he hit him with his body underneath. But you've got such an incredible leaper. Thomas is a good leaper, as is Thompson, but a little bit too much body.
Well, there's nothing like this game we cover college basketball, and if you're celebrating the win, do it right. The way you celebrate says a lot about you and reflects on your school, so be responsible. Take care of yourself and your friends. A message from Anheuser-Busch.
And Tim, if you're North Carolina right now, you got to say, wait a second, Hansbrough hasn't scored in 10 minutes. He has to get some touches down in low. That's the job of the point guard. Understand that.
Smith sneaking out, trying to get the steal from Graves. Picks up the foul. And we're in the bonus now. Graves will get to the free throw line for 1 and a bonus.
And when you look out on the floor right now for North Carolina, it's got to be Ginyard being the primary ball handler. So North Carolina, a team that started off this year with Lawson, certainly one of the top guards in the country, a Bobby Frazier, who certainly had to be one of the best number 2 point guards in the country to bring off the bench. Thomas would have been number 3. Here they are in a game that's of this importance, and down to Ginyard. There's Frazier right there, out for the season with that knee problem.
Florida State with a must-win over Miami. They had really been struggling, needed a W in the worst possible way.
Nelson in traffic. Boy, is he a little bit like Hansbrough. Smaller, yes, but he loves the contact.
Exactly. He's a miniature Hansbrough. He's got that incredible upper body strength and those long arms to finish.
Ginyard does feed Tyler.
Some catch.
He knows what to do with it, doesn't he?
That was a pass down at his ankles and still was able to, in traffic, pull it off and score.
Well, you know what? You've said this to me often, Billy. You've got to know who you're making that pass to.
Absolutely.
Singler following his own shot. You know, you just have to have confidence that Hansbrough's got strong enough hands to make that play. Singler! Boy, what a great move by Singler.
This is some test, and that was right off Ginyard's leg. Nice job by Smith.
Yeah, and the deflection will lead to another opportunity here for the Devils.
Well, right now, North Carolina has some serious trouble with their ball handling. They have a big team on the floor. No help that time for Hansbrough on the reverse. Tell you, Smith is the guy that comes in the ball game and makes things happen.
Offensive foul.
That's the 3rd one that Hansbrough has been able to draw against the Duke player.
Goes against Thomas, his 2nd.
Now, here's Smith picking up Ginyard. A real advantage for Smith there from a standpoint of used to playing hard-nosed defense in the backcourt. And Roy Williams does a nice job saying, let's get more guys involved in bringing this up the court other than just one man.
Largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils. They're up by 9 with just under 5 to play in the opening half.
This is a strange lineup on the floor right now for North Carolina.
Ginyard pumps. Boy, the heels really needed that three.
Oh boy, huge shot. Veteran players have a tendency to step up. And Smith ought to get rid of this ball because Ginyard is a tremendous defender.
First 3 ball of the game for North Carolina, and just like that, Duke is able to answer with Nolan Smith. Well, you know he would make his proud father so happy the way he plays on the defensive end.
That was some drive he just made against a guy I think is one of the best defenders in the league.
Derek Smith, great player at Louisville. Ginyard has that one deflected.
Quick outlet by Nelson to Nolan Smith again.
Nelson!
Oh, how high up he was.
Oh, Graves picked up the foul. That could have been one acrobatic slam with harm had it gone down.
Well, probably a pretty good foul in this situation. Can you believe how high up? I mean, he was looking down at the rim when he threw this one. There was that extra elevation on that one. You know, he started his jump and then all of a sudden exploded.
He could have gotten a little Iron Chin music there. He stayed up just a little longer.
Well, a young man, we talk about injuries on the North Carolina side to Lawson. Nelson basically was just an injury-prone his first 2 years in this league. And it is great to see him back healthy and playing at the ability he has. As we all know, the top scorer in the history of California high school basketball. So much expected of him, but those injuries set him back, but not any longer.
He's really been hot the last 3 games. And Billy, you could really sum up his career coming into his senior year as a case of what might have been thumb injury, fractured ankle. Every time he started to get his feet underneath him, something bad would happen, and now suddenly he's able to play and maybe sustain himself for a full season healthy, and the sky's the limit. Certainly his numbers have been outstanding for the Devils.
That Maryland game I thought was one of the toughest games I've seen a guy play in a long time. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals.
And he had to have it with his other players in foul trouble, as you see goaltending against Henderson. Count the basket. So a dozen in the game for Tyler Hansbrough. 39-31, number 2 Duke with the lead here in Chapel Hill. As we look at Tyler Hansbrough through the years, Billy, I think you'll notice he's been incredibly consistent as the 3-time All-America. The one area where he's really improved is at the free throw line, and tonight, while he does lead the way with 12 points, interestingly, he's not gotten to the free throw line as yet, and that's a bit surprising.
No, I'll tell you why he's not on the line, Tim, because North Carolina does not have their point guard in play that can allow him to set up in the low post and get the ball in a lot of touches. He went almost 9 minutes and 30 seconds without a basket. Now, if you're North Carolina in a game like this, Quentin Thomas has to understand, take the ball, relax a little bit, get touches for your big fella inside. You can't go to the foul line if you're not touching the ball. Here's a point zone by North Carolina for the first time in this game.
See the bench scoring, all with the Devils.
Just like that, a quick answer by Paulus. He has 9. Little 2:31.
A little risky right there to go to this zone as well as Duke shoots from the perimeter. There's Hansbrough inside.
It's a blowout from 3-point range. 8-1. And a turnover committed by Thompson, moving the pivot foot while under duress from Kyle Singler. That's the 10th Tar Heel turnover.
Now you see Hansbrough coming back down court talking to Green. What he's saying to Green is, I don't have to be perfectly open to throw it in here. And the reason he's saying that is because a guy like McClure is guarding him. Even if it looks like he's covered, Hansbrough is so strong, he'll make the catch in traffic. They got to force the ball inside some.
Draw and kick out. Amazing to see how Mike Krzyzewski has evolved as a coach. He's run some zone this year, a la Jim Boeheim. Drive, draw, and kick. Something he's really picked up in his years as head coach of Team USA.
Well, Mike D'Antoni influenced a lot in regard to how to really run that the way he does in the professional ranks.
You see the clock with 3 on it. Scheyer
didn't want to take that shot, but had to.
And Green with the outlet to Thomas. Now, can you make the simple play? Pulls up, it's rejected. Out of bounds. Last touched by the heels. Blue Devils ball.
I thought that was a good play, though. Took the ball right inside. He's got good elevation on the jumper. Didn't realize, though, that Singler was coming behind him.
Roy Williams has said this many times, Billy, and it's, he got it from Dean Smith, one of the all-time greats. Sometimes you just have to know how to make and execute the proper play. Not a great play,
absolutely,
but the right play.
Particularly in the situation that Thomas is in. Is that the 4th one tonight?
Nope. He gets a block.
I thought he had picked up his 4th charge of the night. He moved his feet pretty well.
Yes, he did. First foul on Tyler Hansbrough.
Now, Duke bench points tonight, 13-1. Duke is averaging 28. I think that's probably a pretty good call. Had an established defensive position. But Duke averaging over 28 points a game from their bench, which is double what they had last year. And we talked about the fact that Mike Krzyzewski didn't have many places he could go last year with bench.
By the way, our veteran officiating crew tonight, Jamie Lucky, Leslie Jones, and Tony Green.
And tonight's game is a copyrighted presentation. Any use of it without the express permission of Raycom Sports and the ACC is prohibited.
Tim Brando, Billy Packer, happy to be with you again. I've said this to you before, Billy, and I know you love all sports too. The Super Bowl just concluded this past week. For so many fans across the country, all eyes are on college basketball after Duke plays North Carolina for the very first time. This game means a lot to a number of people outside the Triangle area in the ACC.
Well, you mentioned Triangle area, and why this game is so important tonight for North Carolina to hold serve at home is the fact that the NCAA this year will be played in Raleigh and then the second round in Charlotte. And I would assume one of these two teams have an opportunity to be that club that could be sent to a Raleigh-Charlotte situation.
Huge advantage.
Big advantage, you're right.
Hansbrough now up to 14 points, getting it underneath and making something happen.
Well, this is the key to the North Carolina game, tonight or any night, and that is touches to Hansbrough. You get him the ball, he'll score, he'll get to the foul line, and your team has an excellent opportunity to wear the other club down.
And we've got the timeout on the floor, and the teams discuss strategy. You should do. Premium service, expect it, don't pay it. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab.
You know, we see Mike Krzyzewski there. You know, it's interesting. You remember when Dean Smith stepped down, everybody assumed Roy Williams, I'm talking about the first time would be the North Carolina coach. He turned it down. Bill Guthridge came in, had a nice run there. But you know what's really interesting? These two guys, giants in the coaching business, played against each other 4 times when Roy was having a great year in Kansas. Mike won 3 of those games, including a national championship game against Kansas, which also had a kind of a Dean Smith connection. Remember Kansas, Roy Williams beating Dean in the semifinals. We just saw Hansbrough on one of his patented turnaround jumpers. And now he steps outside, but Singler beats him.
Quentin Thomas comes down with a rebound. He has Thompson, Ellington, Hansbrough, and Ginyard on the floor with him. Thompson.
Tough shot.
Yeah, it really was a tough shot.
But a good pass.
How about Hansbrough going to it? Tie ball with the arrow to North Carolina. If it's a free ball, he's going to go get it. You talk about the history of these two Hall of Famers, Billy. It's just incredible how much they've achieved in such a short amount of time. Look at that. I mean, it's amazing. And we should mention that Roy's about to go into the North Carolina State Hall of Fame this year. Already in the...
Ginyard stepped out of bounds and then tried to come back inbounds to get it. It wasn't that when he caught it, he was out of bounds. He stepped out of bounds to go retrieve the ball.
Thompson and Hansbrough, Billy, are 11 of 16 from the floor for North Carolina. The rest of the team, 3 of 15. That's... it also shows you where the strength of North Carolina is in the matchup with Duke.
Absolutely, and don't try to recreate the wheel. Keep getting that ball down inside if you're North Carolina. Force Duke to play your game. So far, Carolina's been forced to play the Duke game. Example.
Yep, McClure a little short with that. Scheyer found him, though, on the drive and the kick out.
Look at Hansbrough running the floor.
Ginyard is fouled by Henderson.
Now, there's a case that only an athlete like Ginyard gets that shot off because of Henderson's incredible ability to go up in the air. Tremendous effort.
Second foul on Henderson.
And the guy that was running the floor was Hansbrough. What hustle there. In case the shot is missed, he was right in position to put it back in.
He looked like a great white shark going after the rebound. And our Chick-fil-A nugget of the game. I was especially waiting for this. Regular season poll titles. UCLA, Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina.
Well, when you look at UCLA, that's the John Wooden run.
Yes.
I mean, it was just automatic. Line them up preseason #1, end the season #1, and win the national championship 10 times.
7-point game, Duke with the lead. They took control of this game off turnovers midway through the first half. They've led by as many as 11. That's an offensive foul on Smith.
Ginyard running right through the screen.
Actually on McClure, his second.
Good job by Ginyard. He fought right through that screen. McClure couldn't get his body over there in time. It's a nice comeback by North Carolina right now. With a minute to go, the key is keep getting that ball down inside. Let the big man handle it. There he is.
Off the double team, no problem. He invites the contact.
Oh, absolutely. See, They were worried about throwing him the ball because he was partially guarded. And that was a great move on his part to talk to his teammates and say, hey, bring it in here. I can catch it in traffic. Duke will have to give up the ball here.
6-0 run for Carolina. Can they get a stop here?
Great defense by Ellington.
Rebound to Ginyard, looking to push.
Plenty of time. Bring the ball back out if you're Thomas.
Finds Hansbrough on the block.
He is so strong in traffic, isn't he?
18 for Hansbrough. The lead is down to 3.
There's a steal, and look at Hansbrough going after it.
Save to Smith at the buzzer. Would have counted had it gone. How about that finish, Billy?
Right comeback, and once North Carolina realized the big guy's the key, it really put them in position to come back. 8-0 run.
North Carolina closes with a flurry after being down by as many as 11. 42-39 Devils. Halftime activities from Chapel Hill coming up. Well, the Carolina Basketball Museum opened its doors last Monday. The building, located right next to the Smith Center, features over 7,000 square feet of memorabilia dating back to Lenny Rosenbluth all the way to Michael Jordan. And the Educational Fund of North Carolina raised $15.1 million for the four-story building. We're underway here in the second half. Thomas unable to collect the bucket. And here comes Thomas on the other end, leaving it for Hansbrough.
Half a step away from taking his 4th jump shot of the night. Maybe he's not.
Off the front iron, pulled down by Henderson.
Sigler got a little piece of that ball. Nice job by Ginyard, penetrating back to go ahead and get in position to stop that drive by DeMarcus Nelson.
You see the drought for Duke from the close of the first half to the opening moments here of the second. Nelson, not a bad choice, really.
Great defense.
Singler trying to get the tip in.
North Carolina has the numbers with Singler down. See if they push it up.
Thomas goes crossover. Great move.
Beautiful. Good idea. Now there you have a 5-on-4 situation. Whether Thomas recognized it or not, he took advantage of it. Good move. Since he has been put on that bench and had that little talking to, he's played a lot better. Tried to do too much too early.
Nelson against the taller Ginyard, gives it up to Paulus.
Now he is perfect from downtown.
There's Thomas, though. Why would you leave Paulus? That's what he's going to do, is take that outside jumper.
Ginyard in traffic, stays with it. Thompson on the glass. Yes, and a foul.
Would you say that North Carolina has a huge advantage when the ball is inside that paint?
Absolutely.
And the way they got behind in this ball game is they just didn't get it down in that paint. When they're down in there, they have a severe advantage over Duke.
DeMarcus Nelson, notably, Billy, just got his 3rd foul. And while he is shorter than Singler or Thomas, I think you would agree, down low, he plays as physically as any player Mike Krzyzewski has.
Well, they can't afford to have him on the bench in a game like this very long, except to get a little bit of a rest because of what he does on both ends of the floor.
Well, for the moment, Coach K is going to hope that he plays with a high degree of intelligence. From downtown. Perhaps that's why he stays in the game. 48-44 Blue Devils.
And only Henderson's ability to stay up in the air a long time. Where is Thomas going this time?
Uh-oh.
The basket again.
Oh, the window. The bank open late in Chapel Hill on Wednesday. 48-46.
Well, it would not be an impersonation of that 7-turnover, no-assist game against Virginia Tech a few years ago. He's having a solid second half.
That's a block against Thompson as Singler slashes to the basket.
Second time in this game that Thompson has had a close call. That's 2 of his 3 fouls. Somewhat questionable. Good drive by Singler, though.
Billy, if you look at this Duke team and the way they've played so far this year, they're coming in 19-1 and, of course, undefeated in the conference. The thing that astounds you is how this club maximizes when they have noticeable weaknesses inside. They don't have the strength, the girth. They're long in some places, but they don't have that girth inside that we've been accustomed to seeing. Paulus on the wing.
Because they play outside.
That's right.
And you can never leave Paulus. You got to stay on him outside. He's not going to beat you with penetration of the basket, so just stay with him.
Hansbrough, look at the three-ball story. Still a blowout for Duke in that area.
And the foul goes against Singler, his second.
How about this? The all-time made free throw shooter at North Carolina. And this is back in the days when Lenny Rosenbluth went to the foul line all the time.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. He's doing it here in midway through his junior year. 613 career free throws. Already 225 free throws. And the thing that is so great about it, you've got a big guy that goes to the line 10 a game, and he hits over 80%.
You know what it's a little bit like, Billy? Mike Kaminsky and I were having this conversation last week. It's a little bit like Tiger Woods on par fives. It's not a fair fight. It's almost as if he has 8 points from the free throw line before the game ever starts.
Absolutely. And again, it'd be one thing if he's shooting 65%, but he's shooting 80%. And there's his fourth. That is a huge foul, and that was a cheap one.
Stevenson will check in for him.
Now, Stevenson can handle things defensively, but nowhere near the threat in the low post that is Thompson, which means that Duke can now help out more on Hansbrough.
Yeah. You can go a lot of high-low with he and Hansbrough when Thompson's on the floor. You really cannot do that as much with Stevenson.
But Henderson is really turning the corner. He got that wrist taped up. Can you believe that pass?
Nelson just threw iron. Hansbrough gets it to Thomas.
And a good decision by Hansbrough not to go long to Ginyard. Down 4, protect the ball a little bit. Henderson doing some job on Ellington, isn't he?
He really is.
Boy, he is not leaving him tonight.
Thomas going to the left hand. Foul will go against the Blue Devils. Paulus picking it up.
I think it'll be Thomas. Thomas on that particular play.
It was Paulus that did pick up the foul, yes. Take a look at the Woodman of the World scoreboard. And right now, Duke leading by 4. Just over 3 minutes gone here in the second half. And with Paulus on the floor now with Scheyer, Henderson leaves the game. This is a very small Duke lineup. But then again, North Carolina losing Thompson, not as big as they once were.
What I think is great about what Thomas is doing, and like what he did the other day in that ball game against Florida State, he played 36 minutes in that game. Lawson only played 4, so he showed some real stamina.
Thomas got Stevenson airborne and forced it through. Well, he willed that one into the hoop. Hansbrough trying to pull up, stays with it though. A relentless attack of the rack, wave it off. And the foul spotted inside.
Was he talking about a foul before he touched it?
I believe that's what he's saying. Scheyer may have committed a push. And now Jamie Lucky's going to have a conversation, so we may have an overrule.
Wow, I don't see that at all. It looked to me like a good basket counts, and it does count. I think that's a good call. I didn't see that foul before that ball was tapped.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski not at all pleased because of the overrule.
I think they got it right, though.
Foul was committed by Nelson.
That's his 4th, so Mike's even more upset to hear that. I thought the foul was on Scheyer initially. Scheyer played the guilty role by raising the arm very quickly.
And we're looking at 16-16. Mike would have to take Nelson out of this ballgame. We have not seen Taylor King, would be asking a lot of a freshman who has not come off this bench for 1 second in this game.
But I have to tell you, Billy, when Taylor King comes into games, he may only play 9 or 10 minutes, but boy, does he get a lot out of it.
Well, what he does, he extends that defense greatly. Now, let's see what's going to happen. I don't know if Mike's assistants has gotten to him yet to talk to him about the foul situation.
Yeah, I think he found out. It
there he is.
Right about the time the overrule took place. The bigger issue was the hoop counting plus the foul, and Nelson picking up the 4th. That's a huge turn of events.
Now remember, 16-minute mark.
And an equalizer for the loss of Thompson. Steps by Stevenson.
So I said, there's Stevenson can come in, and he can give you the rebounding, shot blocking, and defense of a Thompson, but he's not going to give you the offense.
I know Nelson did hit the 3 ball after he got the third. Are you a little surprised that Mike didn't take him out after he had the 3rd foul?
Well, I think he counts on his ability and his great conditioning to go ahead and not get that 4.
Well, he's a veteran player, too. Well, Thomas gets the hoop to fall. Blue Devils by 4. Roy Williams just fainted.
Yep, he just almost went down again, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Had that happen a couple of times this year. The intensity levels picks up, and the foul spotted as Stevenson once again
In the fight down low, foul does go against him, his first. No concern over there right now. Just a few moments ago, this was about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and then right before the timeout, another situation underneath the ball as he's going down to one leg. He almost had to brace himself and holding his head somewhat. We've seen this a couple of times this year.
Yes, we have. A little bit scary. You know that he had that vertigo situation over the summer.
Yep.
I certainly hope that it's just a matter of being a little bit frustrated. And there we go. That ball was tapped. The official missed that call. You know, you think about, Roy Williams. We talked about Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski. Dean Smith in his career, incredible. He lost his first 7 games when he went up against Duke. 10 of his first 12. Did pretty well after that. But it's amazing what it takes to get your program solidified, just like in the case of Mike Krzyzewski when he had to go up against Dean Smith. 14 wins, 25 losses against Smith. Nice shot by Henderson.
Just like that, Duke asserts itself, leads by 6, 14 turnovers committed by North Carolina. And the Blue Devils taking advantage every opportunity they get. Ellington still struggling.
Well, he was really looking for that shot because Paulus was on him. He can shoot over Paulus.
Paulus leaves it for Henderson, steps.
Not a good pass by Paulus.
That's
His teammate not in a position to be able to catch that one on the move.
And that's the 9th turnover for Duke. Well, closed captioning for tonight's game is provided by Bojangles. You gotta gotta have a Bojangles.
And you have to believe that DeMarcus Nelson's probably going to be sitting down there to about the 8, maybe even the 6-minute mark.
And Thompson quite a while for North Carolina as well. Ellington now being checked by Scheyer. There's a drive, drawing kick to Green. A little return to Cinder that time for North Carolina. Did everything but make the basket. Scheyer in traffic, forcing things, and gets the foul inside.
Now, Scheyer's got the size to finish inside, doesn't have the strength yet, and here comes the man, Taylor King. Let's see if he can be a guy in this particular game to explode as he has. He's had 2 20-point games this year, and capable, and he's not shy. He will put up a jumper.
Yeah, I'd say probably his range starts at each end of the state of North Carolina tonight as he enters the game. And the other thing, he's got that quick trigger from the left hand, not easily defended.
Yeah, I think that range, Tim, is what chases the defense a little bit. They just don't realize how quickly he'll get it off and from what range. Let's see how long it is before he gets off a jump shot.
Scheyer with only the 3rd converted at the line, now has 9 for the Dukies. They're up by 7. Not quite 6 minutes gone here in the second half. Ginyard, Green, Hansbrough, Stevenson, and Ellington, the 5 on the floor for North Carolina. Green, a runner.
He loves to elevate. And there's Scheyer again showing that size that he's got to get rebounds in traffic.
Look out.
Oh, it took a long time.
Henderson, the long rebound.
He wants another jumper.
Why not?
No, he little bit too quick.
Yeah. And he'll hear a little bit about it.
Now, one of the things that you have to understand, you're a freshman coming in. This is a major game. I know you've got that ability, but let the game come to you a little bit.
First shot was actually a pretty good look, but poor rotation on the second one.
Well, this defensive job on Ellington tonight has been terrific.
Green, again, unable to get it to go. Stevenson, oh, what a rebound.
Foul before that.
Yes, the foul prior to.
and it'll go the other way. Boy, Stevenson went up strong that time to get it.
And Tim, what has happened in the last few minutes that was the same as the first half?
Yep.
Hansbrough not touching the ball.
Not touching it, yeah. And by the way, that was steps
yeah.
called on Stevenson rather than a foul. A great rebound, but he just took the little shuffle step underneath.
I don't know about the steps either. It looked like a pretty good move. The guy is a strong, tough rebounder and defender.
He's only going to get better. 58-51. Scheyer, not there. Hansbrough clears. 11 boards now for Tyler. Ellington.
Another great rebound inside and dropped.
Graves lost it.
How many balls has Scheyer got his hand on here in this stretch?
Paulus pumps off the back iron, cleared by Hansbrough.
Paulus didn't have that one in his hands before he got rid of it.
Ellington, what a fan's ready to explode, but he just can't find the mark.
Not his night. Smith looking for the pick against Ginyard.
Well, we are seeing some effort on this floor right now.
The jump stop, Ginyard, that's an offensive foul.
Carolina is amazing to me that they, and again, this goes back to not having Lawson. They do not understand that everything has to start with number 50.
Yeah.
Get the ball out, let him have touches, and all of a sudden the game becomes so easy to play. They're making the game much too hard to play against this Duke team that is a small club, got a key player defensively sitting on the bench with fouls.
Thompson now back out on the floor, Billy, with the 4 fouls. 12:38 remaining in the game. Graves leaves. Quentin Thomas coming back into the game.
Now the key now for Thomas, having sat over there for a while, is to understand, pull it back out, get that ball to the big guy. You can see what's happened. The same drought they had in the first half.
Smith in traffic.
Wow.
Offensive foul, says Les Jones.
Wow, I don't like that call. I agree with Mike Krzyzewski on that one. Smith had the lane. There was no defender in the way. He elevates. You can see the defender gets there late.
I think he's upset with Tony Green that he felt that should have been his call, and he gave it up to Les Jones. You see the drought for North Carolina.
Steps.
Almost up to 4 minutes. Hansbrough maybe a bit frustrated that he hasn't had as many touches. Got a little anxiety in his game. You see Roy saying, calm down, fellas.
What he saw there, Tim, was the double team coming over his left shoulder. So he spins and returns and tries to go baseline just a little bit ahead of himself. But you're right. If you're a big guy and you don't touch it for a while, you think you've got to do something instantly.
This last 3 or so minutes, Billy, both teams expending a lot of energy, but not very productive.
There's Paulus, the veteran guard, bringing things out, settling down, get back into some semblance of their offense. 17 seconds, still a lot of time.
Scheyer in a blow-by, too strong. Hansbrough clears it. 13 boards now for Tyler Hansbrough. Scheyer with another takeaway, and the foul will go against Thomas.
Well, that was a foul that really helped North Carolina because Duke had an easy 2.
Wow. Jon Scheyer become the king of thievery here. Tonight's game here in Chapel Hill is presented in high definition. We're available by Raycom Sports. Our score, 58-51, Duke with the lead. Defense has really been taking over of late. Look at this, Billy. Duke coaches as players, and Johnny Dawkins, of course, got it all started for Coach K. Chris Collins, one of the outstanding sharpshooters, and Steve Wojciechowski, who really his tenacity was all about what Mike Krzyzewski's program was built on, and yet you think it's special to beat North Carolina?
Well, Johnny Dawkins, of course, was part of that Duke team that beat North Carolina ACC tournament, then on to win, to get to the Final Four, and win 37 games that year, which is still a record in the NCAA in terms of most wins in a regular season.
Ellington with a quick outlet to Ginyard, over Scheyer.
Scheyer, who has been on fire lately in stealing the ball, probably did a pretty good thing. You can't match Ginyard in regard to power going up in the basket. Tried to draw the easy charge.
Well, this drought continues now for Duke, and Mike Krzyzewski wasting no time. Thomas gets the hoop inside. Both Nelson and Henderson will come in on the next dead ball.
Thomas scoring over Hansbrough on that play. On the year, Hansbrough only has 5 shot blocks.
Ellington, the iron,
really
so
struggling.
unkind to him.
He is now 2 for 9. Danny Green is 0 for 5. We're talking about 2 for 14 from two guys, veteran players, that really have to step up. And it would help them if the ball goes into Hansbrough so they could get it out and not have to work so hard for open shots.
You sense some anxiety both with Ellington outside and Hansbrough inside of late. A Singler gets the fall away J to fall, baseline extended.
You're right, Tim. Fall away was the proper word there because he faded away, making it impossible to block or alter.
Thomas,
Here comes the double.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Tyler Hansbrough and one.
Yep. And Lawson sitting over that bench and saying to his teammates he can't help tonight on the floor to say, guys, this is not brain surgery. You get the ball to number 50 and all the offense starts from there.
Feed and fan the big fella. And Marcus Nelson has come back onto the floor now with Henderson. Thomas leads the game. So does Smith. 21 now for Tyler.
Hansbrough only averages committing 2 fouls a game. But as I said, he's only blocked 5 shots. So when you get the ball against him down low, don't worry about him blocking the shot. He's just playing position defense. I thought they'd wait to the 8-minute mark. It's 9:57. Nelson back in there.
Giving it up to Henderson. Way too strong off the backboard. Hansbrough clears Ellington. Right now, Tyler Hansbrough seems to be the only comfortable Tar Heel on the offensive end of the floor. Everyone playing with stress. Get it to him.
Well, he went 9 minutes in the first half without touching it. They got behind. He went almost 7 minutes in the second half without touching it. They get behind.
Pretty simple, isn't it?
Yep. Well, we see a young man right here who certainly makes a case for himself as National Player of the Year, which could put him up there on that those blue banners. And whenever he gets the ball inside, North Carolina's offense gets going. That's been the case in this particular ball game. He's been truly outstanding once again.
And again, considering that as juniors, Tyler Hansbrough has now passed Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list. That's pretty amazing. Right up there with Jamison and company.
I'd say Jordan played on some teams that were a little bit more flexible in terms of some of the other guys that could score, like the James Worthy.
Yeah,
and
a
Sam
few more
Perkins.
veterans with him. Yeah.
But not taking anything away from what Hansbrough's done. Floor spread out pretty much right now. Should help Duke. Nice recovery by Green.
Henderson blows by, though, gets the slam.
Well, when you know you can elevate and explode like that, you don't worry about where that defender is once you get inside.
Just 6 in the game for Henderson. And the foul spotted. So we'll go against Paulus, the push. And we're in the 1-and-1 now.
Watch this explosion right here. Even though Green is a great shot blocker, Henderson's ability to explode the basket and finish takes away any opportunity to block that shot.
That's really one of the better defenders North Carolina has, and he's schooled him.
You know what? He has 85 career shot blocks, which is more than what Tyler Hansbrough has.
That's right.
Hansbrough has 5 blocks this year. As a freshman had 23, and as a sophomore only had 17. Now, again, you look at those stats and you say, hey, wait a second. This guy doesn't block shots down in the paint on the defensive end. That's why he doesn't get in foul trouble. He plays position defense. So, guys, when we have the ball in the low post, don't worry about his hands being up there. Just go and take your normal shot.
Marcus Ginyard is probably the player you think of as the designated defender, the great defender of the most outstanding perimeter player on the opposing team from North Carolina's perspective. But after him really comes Danny Green. He's tremendous. And as you mentioned, his high-rise ability gives him a tremendous advantage when the ball is taken to the 10.
Yeah, and he has great instincts when he's away from the ball, how to come over and get that shot block.
Duke by 5. 8:50 and counting in Chapel Hill. Singler trying to work pick and pop.
Nice recovery by Scheyer. Is having a tremendous ball game.
He is.
Well, you know what?
His
His defense has been there all night. Now the offense is coming around.
Absolutely, both ends of the floor. He's got 3 steals, getting some rebounds.
11 points for him now. Ellington splits the double team. Finally gets one to go. Now let's see if that ignites this explosive Tar Heel on the offensive end.
Well, as we said before, Green and Ellington have been extremely quiet in this ball game. You know both of them can explode.
Just 6 in the game for Wayne Ellington.
Paulus doing a nice job keeping things spread out for his ball club. He's going to pass every time he drives. He is not going to finish inside. That time, North Carolina read the defense well.
The 11th turnover for the Devils. Here's Scheyer again doing the job.
There's Ellington. Also that beautiful pull-up jump shot. As good a form on a jump shot as you'll ever want to see. That shot that he made against Clemson to win that, and I saw a photo of it in a newspaper the next day, and it was about, if you wanted to school somebody, here's what you should look like at the top of your leap as you release the ball. It was absolutely perfect.
In this defensive sequence now,
Ellington, there's Green on the backdoor cut, and Thomas rejected him.
Green never saw him.
Nelson playing with the 4 fouls, gives it up to Henderson.
I'll tell you right now, Tim, the team that Duke has on the floor is extremely difficult to match up with on that perimeter. Each guy can penetrate and get inside. They all can shoot the jump shot as well. Tough matchup for North Carolina.
Well, they're dictating tempo. They really are. And they're doing it with their offense. That's a kick by Nolan Smith. That's his 3rd foul. 7:08 remaining.
Number 1 Duke and number 2 and defending national champ North Carolina met in February of '94. 3 Tar Heels scored in double figures. Eric Montross, Rasheed Wallace, and Derek Phelps as the Heels came away with an 89-78 victory.
Well, there's Eric Montross, who came off the year before with a national championship in '93. There he is. Everybody assumed, with everybody coming back and an incredible group of freshmen joining, that '94 would be a back-to-back situation. Never happened. Maybe a little bit too much talent on that team. Had a hard time blending the veterans with the newcomers.
It has happened to the North Carolina program a lot of times.
But maybe more that year than any year that I can remember.
I would agree.
Remember when Dean Smith had maybe an overload of talent? He started the big blue team.
Yep.
So you'd have guys that were maybe the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th player on the team, could play for anybody, and they were playing on the big blue team.
Closed captioning for tonight's game provided by Bojangles. You gotta have a Bojangles. Hansbrough ends up empty. That's very rare to see him miss as many 1-and-1s and 1 of 2 shot opportunities as he has tonight.
He didn't have his normal follow-through on that one.
24 points for him, though. He's clearly led the way. Nelson in traffic, playing with 4, out of bounds to North Carolina.
Well, that was some offensive rebound, and you've got to watch him on that, because he has a tendency, when he goes inside, he comes back down quickly, and because of his power, goes up for that follow-up. We've seen him do it time and again. Did it against Maryland. Good pass.
Oh, yes. Hansbrough rejected by Henderson. Paulus comes out of there with it.
There were 3 men that eventually got to him, and remember, last year, it was not quite that way for Henderson when he went over to help out to try to stop Hansbrough.
Singler setting a pick and a pop.
Beautiful, beautiful follow-through on the shot.
71-62, 13 for Singler.
As I said, a tough matchup right now with what Duke has on the floor for North Carolina.
And again, I sense that stress, Billy. Green rushing it.
Boy, he's having trouble tonight. Normally finishes those shots off.
Tie ball with the arrow to North Carolina. Henderson a little upset with that, felt that he had taken it away.
And here, Singler on Hansbrough. Obviously, he can't handle him one-on-one, but here comes Henderson over, flying way up in the air, and makes this block. The pick, the pop, and Singler with a great follow-through. Pretty versatile young player, isn't he? Green is now 0 for 7, very uncharacteristic of them in a game like this.
I think the way Ellington and Green are not performing on the offensive end of the floor has led to a lot of collective stress for the entire North Carolina team on the offensive end, and Duke can now smell that it's Hansbrough or else for North Carolina.
And you figure Lawson has never played.
Absolutely.
So you say Green and Ellington not effective, Lawson doesn't play. You got to figure Duke's got a huge advantage.
That's what this game has come down to. With just over 6 to play, a huge advantage defensively for Duke.
Nice extra pass, but to a person that's not going to take that shot. Great.
Ginyard, you have to find the offense from some other resource, and Ginyard has that capability.
Well, you can go high-low with Thompson and Hansbrough in the ball game now if you're North Carolina.
Well, you see the 3-ball story. Duke leading big. That was a huge second one, though. Huge second three-pointer for North Carolina. Paulus pumps from downtown. Wow, what a three.
That was a huge shot.
Hansbrough.
Fouled on the way up by Thomas, and he really wanted to jam that one home.
I'll tell you, Duke on the last 2 occasions, Henderson for the block that obviously took away an easy basket for Hansbrough, and that one, although it was a foul, took away an easy 2 points for Hansbrough. So Duke doing a nice job with a smaller team getting up there.
Thomas now has 4 fouls with 5:25 remaining. He joins Nelson with 4. Here's your chance to win 2 tickets to the ACC men's basketball tournament. Take Progress Energy's CFL challenge and replace 5 light bulbs with energy-efficient compact fluorescent bulbs. You'll save energy and money. Go to SaveTheWatch.com to sign the pledge.
You know, Tim, you mentioned earlier, and we all remember the incredible game that May had with the 26-24 points. Hansbrough is working on another one of those huge games. The all-time great game in terms of performance, points, and rebounds. Back in 1963, Art Heyman had 40 points and 24 rebounds, 6'4" forward. Great All-American and National Player of the Year. That is putting up some points and rebounds.
Yeah, it really is.
Tough matchup here for Hansbrough, way outside.
Paulus again, he's feeling it. Not there. Henderson with the rebound and the putback.
And what made that is the tough matchup. Hansbrough was brought about 25 feet away from the basket. Was no factor on the rebound.
Ginyard leans in, gets the foul from Singler. And Roy Williams calls his troops over. And I think he's working as much on their level of confidence on this end of the floor as anything.
Well, I think that this is a game that North Carolina will learn an awful lot. There's not a lot that Duke can do in terms of changing how they're going to play this year.
No.
And they play it beautifully. I mean, Mike Krzyzewski has developed a terrific system for this personnel. I think North Carolina can learn a lot from this game in terms of how do we play against the Duke team. And they have to realize it has got to go into Hansbrough to start everything off offensively.
Pretty good effort on this end of the floor by the designated defender, Ginyard. When you look at what his normal average is, he's doubled his normal average. He only averages 7 a game. He's up to 15, and now the crowd gets into it. 76-68.
And here's where Duke keeps everything spread out. It's not the old 4 corners, but it's that philosophy. And look at how far away from the basket Hansbrough has to guard here. Takes him away from the offensive rebound. That's all for Thompson.
Not one you really want that far away from the basket. Roy Williams unhappy with Tony Green's call.
But what brought that up is the fact that you had a mismatch. And I said it's tough for North Carolina because Hansbrough had to go all the way out 30 feet from the basket to guard Nelson. He's not used to being out there. And obviously Thompson on that screen is not used to being out there.
And a bonus, too. Roy's going to take quite a bit of time.
You know what I like in these situations? I think the coach automatically should have all of his players run over and get a free timeout. You know, you've got time to get a new guy into the ball game. It's a great time to get that extra timeout with your club.
Green comes back onto the floor. He joins Thomas. Ellington, who struggled. Ginyard, who's played well. Really, the top option, other than Tyler Hansbrough, is Marcus Ginyard right now, emotionally. And, of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Ty Lawson unable to go off that left ankle sprain from Super Bowl Sunday pass.
But I think Ellington and Green are too good of players to not be able to help their team going down the stretch offensively. I know they're having off games, but they have too much ability to be quiet all this time.
Well, you know that Scheyer's not going to suddenly slough off and give him an open shot. His reputation's too great for that. Ginyard again. Not there. Singler corrals it.
Nice block out by the freshman against Hansbrough.
He's really come of age, hasn't he?
Well, it's amazing how versatile he is. Smart move by Paulus. Get his team back under control. Get the ball where it needs to be.
And the Blue Devils can, in effect, shorten the game by utilizing clock. They've got it under 10. Scheyer, a leaner. Not there. Got the rebound, tied up by oh, and a foul on Thomas.
You know, one of the things we ought to point out about Scheyer, he's having a great game all over the floor. He scored 26 against North Carolina last year as a freshman.
Billy, let's take a look at our Chrysler game summary. Obviously, three-point shooting always a factor for Duke if they're going to win, particularly on the road against a quality team. Their bench has outdistanced North Carolina.
Well, they're right where they want to be with that bench. As I said, they're averaging 28 points a game coming off the bench. But just think about this. You're North Carolina, you're playing at home, you're down 8, but you're being outscored by 33 points from the three-point line. So when we talked about what's the key to this game, North Carolina has to get the ball inside. Duke has to play well on the perimeter. Duke obviously has this lead based on the fact that their game has been played more than North Carolina's.
Scheyer has had a tremendous game and really balanced all across the board, Billy. 12 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals. He's been around every loose ball opportunity for Mike Krzyzewski.
Well, you know, you look at him and he's close to 6'6". He's got a long arms and he plays in a guard position. I think he underrates how much reach he has. He's on green now.
Well, he's almost sort of played the Dunleavy role tonight. Hansbrough off the feed from Thomas. 78-70, 3:20 left.
Thomas with 6 turnovers, but recognized what he had to do there.
Carolina leads the stop. Nelson.
I'm surprised they don't bring Singler outside with Hansbrough, taking Hansbrough away from the basket so he can't rebound. Almost a walk.
Henderson on the wing. Hansbrough fights for it, comes away with it.
So you don't want Hansbrough in there if you're Duke.
Ellington, he needs one. Oh! Halfway down the cylinder and out. And it's out of bounds, last touched by Green. Wow, Ellington must think there is a lid across the cylinder in his home building tonight.
And with his tremendous release and beautiful looking follow through, normally the great shooters, those just go in the basket. They just somehow hang on that rim. He's not having any luck tonight.
Yeah, the Irons just been downright rude to Ellington tonight. 3 of 11 from the floor, 0 for 5 from beyond the arc.
The only guy that's made a 3 tonight is Giger, the last guy you'd expect to be the three-point shooter. That should be a bonus for Carolina.
Absolutely, and you cannot expect him to make those big shots down the stretch. They've got to come from Green or Ellington.
With Ty Lawson out and a quick 30-second timeout taken by Mike Krzyzewski with 2:43 remaining. Well, timeout on the floor as the teams discuss strategy. You should too. I talked to Mike Krzyzewski before the game, Billy, and one of the things that he said to me was there was absolutely no question that they expected Ty Lawson would play. But at the same time, he knew Hansbrough would play like Superman, and he's done that. But the facts are, Roy Williams has not gotten the level of confidence from the complementary talent that he has offensively.
Yeah, you'd have to say, looking at the score right now, down 8, if he gets the normal play, forget Lawson out of there, and that means so much.
Yeah.
You've got to understand, I mean, the guy is a great point guard that changes entirely how they play offensively and defensively. But you'd have to assume, Roy is talking right now to Ellington and Green, that they'd come in with, let's say, 2 14-point games, some rebounds, play their solid defense, but it just hasn't been there.
I mean, that's the assumption. That's got to be the reasonable assumption.
Sure.
Singler to trigger it in for Duke. Oh, tough pass. Scheyer with a mistake. Green's got it. A real opening here for North Carolina. Ellington pulls up. Ginyard gets the offensive rebound.
No need to panic right now. Plenty of time in this ball game.
Yeah, why not him? Why not Hansbrough? Living on the line.
But now he's only been shooting at a 50% clip at the stripe for the most part tonight with 2-shot opportunities of late. He's only made 1 of 2 each of the last times that he's been there.
They're not going to be but 4 guys guarding him on that particular play, but he still gets himself to the line.
Yeah,
He hasn't been following through on his shots like normal.
Oh, that's 3 of 8 now.
Yeah, that's
3 of 8 at the free throw line.
Really surprising. So this North Carolina team finds themselves still within striking distance, not having Hansbrough make free throws like normal, not having Green play his normal game, Ellington play his normal game, and no losses.
And I think, in fairness to Tyler, you're trying so hard and you're not getting as much help as normal. And sometimes you press. 4 out of 9 from the free throw line for him on the night. Now here's Nelson again. Spread and execute, Billy. That was one of your keys.
Yep. And here's the right matchup. You bring Tyler Hansbrough outside to guard so he can't be inside to rebound.
Ellington picks up the foul.
And Tim, my thinking on that would be this. Is Singler your best ball handler in this situation? The answer is no. But look at the advantage you get when he comes outside, because now Hansbrough is 30 feet from the basket, is not going to be a factor on the boards. Singler just almost can play decoy out there with the ball.
When you think, Billy, of guys under 6'5" that have really been efficient, you know, recording over 500 rebounds, you know, guys that are able to get a lot of rebounds, assists, and score. Johnny Dawkins comes to mind. I think this guy comes to mind for Duke in their history. He's one of the best. Plays bigger than his stature. 80-71. Ellington again for 3.
Well, I like the fact that he's still taking a terrific steal by Paulus.
Ginyard had it, and Paulus just with the pilfering. And a quick timeout taken by Greg.
Smart play by Paulus. The ball and possession is so key there. He didn't try to force it up court. Takes the timeout that he had.
1:49 remaining. Duke leading by 9 here in Chapel Hill. So many champions, and yes, this is just the first of 2 regular season meetings that will take place. And oftentimes there's a third in the ACC tournament that we've witnessed.
But Tim, as we pointed out at the top of this show, this game critical for Carolina more so than Duke, because Duke will have the next one at home. Who will get that Raleigh-Charlotte NCAA opportunity?
Absolutely.
And this would be a huge win for Duke in that regard. And if Duke were to win this game, Mike Krzyzewski goes 32-32 all time against North Carolina.
That's meaningful.
Yeah, I talked about he lost 8 of his first 9 against Dean Smith teams. And 32-32. There may be some Carolina fans saying, I don't think so. You know, while he was the head coach in '95, those 2 games in which we beat the Duke team were charged losses against Pete Gaudette. But officially, this would make him 32-32.
By the way, you look at active coaches. Eddie Sutton now with 800, and of course Mike Krzyzewski, and of course one of those guys not active any longer, Bob Knight. Coach K told me he spoke with Bob yesterday, and I said, expect the unexpected. He said, yeah, I'd say that's been his history from some time. Thomas off the window.
Third time tonight he's been able to penetrate for the score. He can go back and learn a lot from this ball game.
Absolutely.
Got a little bit too impatient early.
82-73, Blue Devils by 9. And they've done it by spreading and executing and driving and drawing and kicking the ball out and getting those open looks, Billy, time and time again.
Well, they really have. And if you're playing, as I said before, and you're playing against this Duke team, you have to read the offense. So many times people talk about reading defense. You've got to read the offense. Who has the ball? Where is he positioned? And where is your man waiting out there for the penetration and kick?
6 Devils in double figures. Singler with 13, Thomas 10, Paulus 18, Henderson with 10, Nelson 11, and Jon Scheyer with 15.
And somebody would say, okay, smart guy Packer, they've got 4 guys shooting over 40% from the three-point line. Who don't you guard out there? And that is, that is an issue. But I think it's more who you don't help out on when they drive inside.
A little run and jump from North Carolina. They come with the full court pressure and a foul.
And here's the situation. Duke doesn't want to go long, but North Carolina is playing 5 men on that half of the court. So we're going to see, I think, a long pass for an easy layup for Duke, although they want to use clock here.
Hey, look now at our Pepsi players of the game, Billy. Greg Paulus, he was a constant tonight. 6 out of 8. He was 3 of 3 at halftime. 4 steals. Tyler Hansbrough, 28-17 on 12 of 20 shooting. And really without the normal help that he's come to expect.
Absolutely, and without his teammates really understanding who he is. And you can make a case for a number of fellas on that Duke team. I think Scheyer is another guy you could talk about as a player of this game.
Hey, and Clemson comes in here now on Sunday. And the question again will be, is Ty Lawson healthy? Will he be able to go? And you know about that incredible home streak that North Carolina has against the Tigers. And they were given quite an offering from them when they played a little more than a month ago at Littlejohn Coliseum.
Absolutely, it went overtime.
Russell picks up the foul. That's his 3rd foul. And don't forget, coming up this Saturday at 8 o'clock, North Carolina State heads to College Park to take on Maryland. Wolfpack have been an interesting team. They've got a victory last night and did so against Virginia Tech, a team that had really been playing well for Seth Greenberg, now 5-4 after that loss. The Wolfpack 4-4 for Sidney Long.
You mentioned Clemson coming in an overtime win. North Carolina with 2 overtime wins. Of course, they beat Florida State in overtime. North Carolina team hasn't done that since 1957. And that 57 team won 2 overtime games in regular season conference play, and then won the 2 triple overtimes for the national championship.
Well, the Tar Heels with their pressure induced the turnover from Nelson.
And Mike Krzyzewski thinking that there's been a push out right there. Nelson did as well. He's still shaking his head.
Another opportunity for North Carolina. A quick hoop, perhaps a turnover, and a couple of Duke free throws missed. This thing may not be over yet.
Thomas knows where it needs to go.
Absolutely. Hansbrough stays with it, unable to get it to go. Loose ball, Paulus clears.
Great job by Henderson, a bad pass.
Ellington runs it down, saves it to Green for 3. Yes!
There have been some unbelievable comebacks. But Timmy, we have seen them in these Duke Carolina games.
I mean, Hansbrough so well defended. Duke does the job inside, and then they're made to pay.
You never want to throw that ball cross court under the other team's basket. Only bad things can happen there. I'm surprised Paulus did that.
Here you see the game reset. A full left for the Blue Devils, a 30 and a full for North Carolina. Both are in the double bonus. Possession arrow to Duke in a tie ball situation, but it's now a 2-possession game.
I can remember when I go back to 1974 and I was sent down to the sidelines. You talk about nail biters. Sent down the sidelines to interview Neil McGahee, winning coach for Duke. And what does North Carolina do? In 17 seconds, they come from 8 down, tie the game in regulation on Walter Davis's shot and go on to win overtime.
The banker, right? That was off the window. Scheyer is fouled quickly.
Not a bad idea here to trade some fouls.
And Tyler picks up his 2nd foul. 2 on Hansbrough. Well, you touched on it when we spoke earlier in the week, Billy. You felt that if Ty Lawson could not go, that while this might be a difficult night for North Carolina, they might grow as a team. And yes, their confidence on the offensive end has been shaken, but now down the stretch, they're finding out that they can still hang in there.
Hang in there and still without big plays from Ellington or Green. Paulus would like to have that pass back there.
Yes,
I can tell you that.
85% at the stripe. Scheyer, one of the outstanding free throw shooters in the country. 85-78. A must-make for North Carolina. Green launches a 3. Not there. Run down by Henderson.
See, they need to go long now because they can throw the ball over that pressing defense because Carolina's playing 5 guys on only half the court. Scheyer was wide open on the other end of the floor.
By the way, we're talking about that Clemson matchup. Billy coming up on Sunday here at North Carolina.
In the history of NCAA basketball, only one other rivalry has seen 52 consecutive losses on the road in a conference.
Washington State and UCLA.
That's 47.
47.
What would be the one at 52? Any idea?
How about Brown-Princeton?
That would be Brown-Princeton. Absolutely. Well done. At 52.
But that no longer is still running.
That's right.
Brown beat Princeton, so Clemson has a chance to hold
break that record.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I got that just for you tonight. I thought it might come up. Quick foul inside, outside, I beg your pardon.
Ellington finally
Ellington makes
one. Yep.
And the personal does go against Greg Paulus. That's number 4.
Key here, I think, for Duke is they realize what Carolina's going to do on this pressure. Think the long pass.
You see what's in front of Boston College. They play Maryland again. Of course, they had to come from 9 down to win there about a week ago. And the problems at the line continue for North Carolina. Thomas in for Henderson. Look at that free throw shooting story. North Carolina getting there, but missing 10 at the stripe, and Hansbrough under 50% at the free throw.
Another miss.
Scheyer runs it down for Duke. And when you go back to that stress test that we were discussing, this is a team that has just really been lacking confidence on the offensive end of the floor, and it's had a spillover effect throughout the game.
Well, sometimes you take your leader away, and all of a sudden everybody else has a hard time stepping up to that extra position they need.
You know, Billy, as you look at the rest of this second half of the season, this always means that you're going to have the halfway mark of the ACC season, and now this win for Duke gives them a little bit of separation the rest of the conference race. Really does.
It really does, particularly this win on the road right here. Just a terrific job on their part. You know, that loss that they had to Pitt, that's when Pitt had all of their players together. And so when you take a look at what they have done nationally as well, you know, they own Hawaii with good wins out there. So, you know, their opportunity to be a #1 seed is almost sealed with this game.
I would agree.
Yeah, you
can sort of pencil in Memphis for one of the #1s.
I would agree with that.
And then here, the other #1's going to come from this conference. It's going to be either Duke or North Carolina. Duke's in great shape for that. Other than these two teams in the conference, who do you believe has the potential of having a great second half in the ACC?
Well, I think that Maryland's playing extremely well right now. You thought Virginia Tech got on a little bit of a roll. I think Clemson, being healthy, has an opportunity.
Very athletic.
Yeah. You know, the other team that is extremely athletic, has lost a lot of close games, is Florida State.
Agreed.
You've had them. You know, they're a problem. One of the things that all ACC teams should be happy with is that they're the #1 RPI-rated conference in the country. That's because of the balance from top to bottom. The only conference in the country that does not have a team that has an under 500 record.
And that's sometimes will sneak an extra team in that's on the bubble in that particular league. At the end of the year, as you look at the standings in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and this is coming in. You see that log jam. Clemson and Maryland, I agree with you, I think are playing the best right now. And Seth Greenberg's team, given the fact that he didn't have Jeff Allen for a couple of games after the suspension, they've played really, really well to be at 5-4. And then out that other group with 4 losses, somebody's going to make a move. Might be NC State.
It could be NC State as well. And again, I think, Tim, one of the things is how healthy are you. You know, a lot of teams around the country this year, including UCLA now, that's really starting to step up in the Pac-10. They were an unhealthy team for about half the season, even though they were doing well. Louisville, a team that is now starting to come on extremely well, was really in an injury situation. Kentucky, same way. Big steal.
Oh, yes. Green with a lazy pass. Singler picked it off. And then the foul given up. Hansbrough's just in disbelief.
Tell you what, he competes to the final bell.
He really does. You remember how the first half ended? Hansbrough flying out on the floor trying to get a loose ball. No fault of his tonight that his team's going to come up in the short end. And you know, the other thing about it is these guys so close to each other in terms of the history, the tradition, and 8 miles distance between them.
Oh, yeah.
It's an incredible rivalry.
We'll see what North Carolina has in front of them. I mentioned that Sunday night game. Virginia, of course, they've really struggled. They'll be on the road to Charlottesville after that.
And that's about the only team you could say has no chance for an NCAA tournament bid. Everybody else they got on a roll, should be there.
Ginyard not there. Collected in by Singler. And a quick foul given by Danny Green. 12.8 remaining.
If you're Singler in that particular case, you want to get rid of the ball. You don't want to be fouled. Get it to a teammate. Let some clock go off.
We touched on it before, Billy, but whether it's Roy Williams in the Hall of Fame or Mike Krzyzewski, the willingness to adjust and adapt to the circumstances and the people that you have. And I can't say enough about what Coach K has done this year with this particular team. He's done some things. There was a time when you'd see him go to a zone, you'd go, what?
Yeah.
You know, your jaw would drop to the floor. That's not the case anymore.
Here's the other thing. You know, guys consider it a great honor to be the Olympic coach, without question, okay? But he has really taken on that job, not on any kind of an ego trip, but from a standpoint of a learning process.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody learn as much coaching a team, particularly a guy of his stature, as he's learning working with that Olympic team.
Been like a human sponge offensively.
And even Ellington from point-blank range can't in. That pretty much sums it up.
Nightmare for Green and Ellington tonight.
Coach K and his Blue Devils come away with an 89-78 victory over North Carolina. As always, Billy enjoyed it. It's a premium opportunity to be with you for this game. My thanks to Rob Reichley and, of course, Billy McCoy and the rest of our Raycom Sports crew. 89-78 our final. You've been watching exclusive coverage of ACC basketball on Raycom Sports.